As quite a few of my previous videos proved it, great design isn't meant to please everyone. In fact, the more original the design, the more it fractures opinions, splitting those who love it from those who hate it. And that's exactly the point. A design that evokes a visceral reaction, whether positive or negative, has done something most fail to do. It's made you feel something. Looking at the reactions they have elicited from enthusiasts around the globe, it's obvious these watches have that quality, and I'm really happy to be able to review them. These are Bauche Stargazer. They say one has to learn how to walk before starting running, but it sure looks like this tidbit of popular wisdom is something Randy, the owner of Bosch watches, is blissfully unaware of. It took this marketing executive just to look at the composite photos of the Carina Nebula released a couple of years ago to come up with the unique design of the brand's first model. And as Carina Nebula is what scientists have called a star nursery, this source of inspiration could not have been more appropriate for a debut. Before going into reviewing the watch, however, it should be noted that Stargazer will be available to pre-order on Kickstarter for just 1 week only, starting October 18th. The approach to creating the dial of the watch is evocative of peeling back layers, each revealing something new in a journey to find the essence. Texture, depth, clarity, they all blend harmoniously despite the organic shapes of their divides and are evocative of Carina Nebula's heterogeneous composition. Starting with the mother of pearl power reserve subdial, it's worth noting the focus on finding the best natural hues to complement the color patterns of the 6 dials. I'm not sure printing of the hour intervals was needed, but I can understand it's part of an approach seeking to strike a balance between artistic expression and functional precision, an approach further exemplified by the dotted minute track punctuating the white rehot. In order to spark life into the dial, Randy has decided to paint the meteorite section of the dial in tones that would generally be on the opposite spectrum of the mother of pearl. Generally, this works, but on a few models it blurs the characteristic random patterns that give meteorite its character and uniqueness. Finally, the approach to executing the layers separating the two natural stones is remarkably unique, as the apparent lack of a pattern and the orientation of the engravings create the illusion of movement, of space travel if I may. To me though, the icing on the cake is the way this base plate extends under the meteorite section and is revealed by the precise date cutout. Speaking of the date integration, the asymmetrical concept means there's no printing on the main axis, and I just love the placement of the brand's logo. The artistic functional duality I've previously mentioned is best exemplified by the contrast between a sporty seconds hand and a dressy Dauphine hour and minute hands. Finally, the applied markers tip the overall balance towards the classic style despite their loom plots. The case of the watch is a mixed bag for me. On one hand, its profile is upsettingly unrefined. I can understand the power reserve complication meant the case had to dangerously flirt with a dreaded 13mm height taboo, but this slab-sided construction does little to mask it and, more importantly, lacks elegance. Especially when compared with the intricacy of the dials, this almost looks like an afterthought. Still, not all is gloomy. What little effect the case embossing had on slimming the watch down is tenfold multiplied when viewed from up top. These little protuberances just do a fantastic job at adding a refined, elegant, vintage-like dimension to Stargazer's footprint that is so discreet it's almost subliminal. Finally, both the crown and the case back are on the functional spectre, which is reflected by the 120-meter water resistance they provide. This is where the watch fully justifies its rather lofty price tag. Not only is the dial made of 3 dials, 2 of which are considered premium, the steel the case is made of is the 904L variety famously used by Rolex. Beyond its hypoallergenic properties, this alloy allows for a superior grade of polishing, which Bosch have certainly taken advantage of. It would be unfair to dwell too much on the rather subpar performance of the lume applied on the hands and indices of these prototypes, especially as adding a couple of extra layers is what Bosch are promising for the production versions. Interesting to note that the superluminova compound is chosen to complement the color scheme of the dial, so it would be either C3 or BGW9 depending on the model. I was very impressed with the quality of the leather straps the watches came with, as despite the rather generous padding, they adhered to my wrist straight out of the box with no break-in period needed. Finally, the caliber powering the Stargazer is the Miyota 9133. This is one of the power reserve indicator complications variants of the 9 series offered by the Japanese manufacturer, and as such it offers all the perks this range comes with: hacking, hand winding, 4 Hz frequency, a decent precision and power reserve, and a proven record of reliability. Despite its artisanal allure, Stargazer is very much an industrial product precisely executed to a high standard. As such, every cut of its intricate dial is identical to the one of any other of its siblings. I can only hope Bosch will one day reissue this model in a handmade special edition that would no doubt increase its price a few times over, but would better complete a design so unique. As for the quality of the fit and finish of these watches, I have absolutely no complaints, and I believe they are at the level other microbrands have gotten us used to expect at this price point. It's quite hard to appraise Stargazer's versatility, especially with a palette so diverse. In my opinion, Randy went a bit too far in his trying to give this dressy watch a gala vibe, and I don't believe this undertaking bore any fruit. At the end of the day, this is still a dress watch that would probably have been better off without the lume and the water resistance if those would have helped shedding a couple of millimeters of its height and a dime of its price tag. Wearability-wise, although the case measures 41mm across the dial when measured from 10 to 4, the watch wears more like a small 40, making it a good proposition for people with wrists as small as 6 inches in diameter. Helped by the aggressively downturned lugs, the watch sits great on my 19cm wrist, and as previously mentioned, those small protuberances on its sides compress the lugs into creating a round, elegant shape. Legibility is greatly enhanced by the AR coating, but telling time between 9 and 11 has always required a second look, as the off-centered way the power reserve indicator is placed leads the eye into mistaking the 11 o'clock marker for the 10 o'clock one. Not a deal breaker, but a very unusual, distinct sensation I've never encountered before. If you made it this far into the review, I guess you like the watch and would consider buying it. The one thing I can tell you is that if my budget would allow it, I would definitely back the Bauche Stargazer Kickstarter campaign. This is absolutely not a watch for the casual consumer, but I wouldn't call it a statement piece either. This is a unique watch that would enrich any collection and a fantastic example of what true microbrands really are about. I hope you enjoyed this review enough to give it a like, and I would love to read your thoughts on Stargazer's design, so express yourselves in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you soon.